Okay, guys, I feel like I'm finally starting to make some progress on these damn things. This is port number 1. That's got the floor wing in it. It's a 188 cut with a 50. The exhaust is a 1.57 cut with a 50. I did some more work on them. I took a look at my air speeds. I did just a tiny bit of work to the pinch. I did a tiny bit of work to the short side radius with the LS1 valve with a 50 and a 35 back cut. We've got a decent pattern on the valve. We've got a decent pattern on the intake on the chamber. We've got a decent look on the inside of the bowl. Okay, this looks pretty good. Nice and wide like we like it. Okay, now, what did I write different on here? Hold on. Okay, last time you saw it. This time, how'd we do? Minus, plus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, 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 plus. Super important thing we got is we were 243 with buffeting before. We're 246 smooth as silk. That's important right there. Yeah, this 0.3 number should be better. This 0.3 number should be better. I don't disagree. But it seems whenever I do a 50, that's kind of what we get. And they don't necessarily flow much less at the lower lifts. But like I said before, I think the 50 reacts differently on the engine. I think it also couples the air differently from the scavenging and the piston pulling down right to the carb. I have a feeling it couples the air differently just by it being a different shape. I'm not an expert, but that's just the feeling I have about it. All right, how'd we do as far as our swirl? Minus, minus, plus, 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 plus. You can see as soon as she goes over the short side radius, your swirl goes nuts. Because we're not getting as much flow this way anymore, right? This flow is coming out and counteracting our swirl this way. After that flow jumps the short side radius, all the flow is windowing out this way, and our swirl goes nuts. But that's not necessarily a bad thing for us, because I have a feeling we're gonna top out around a 1/2 inch lift with a flat tappet hydraulic cam. So we're 2,194 RPM, plenty of swirl, right? Oh, I know what I did differently. I opened up my throat ratio. Here, open bowl ratios, polish the pinch. Oof, sorry, guys. I'm so toasted. So sick of looking at these. It's not even funny. Okay, what did I go from and what did I go to? All right, we went from 88 on the intake and 83 on the exhaust to 89.3. Which is not a huge amount, but I also blended in that bottom 70 cut. And the exhaust went to 86.3%. So take a look at what happened on our exhaust. Yeah, let's move these closer so you guys can see it. Okay, this exhaust versus this exhaust. It obviously liked the little bit larger throat. You barely made the port any bigger, but she's really starting to flow now. We went from at 500, we went 166.7 to 172.7, 184.9, 191.6. Now, it's not a gigantic exhaust port. I mean, it's horrendously shaped. This is the rectangular port. Well, this is my first port, so this has got the fin on the floor. and the more radically shaped short side radius. The only thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing to my quickie port and see how close it is. It takes forever for me to cut a 50-degree valve job with my stones, my beaver teeth. So let's take a quick look at our airspeed. The pinch actually went down, top in the middle, but it went up. It's very active on the bottom. Okay. So much so that, okay, where was it? I actually changed my texture on this quick wall because my airspeed was just nuts. That's the only thing I really did on the pinch is I polished that side of the pinch. Why would you do that? Because it reduces the thickness of the boundary layer. And I sized the pinch. It's only good for 235. Now, do I have to go into why? Sorry, guys. All right, guys. Sorry I had a call from Wiffy. So now I need Sophia to edit these together. Maybe she can show me how to do that. Okay, we went over our push rod pinch. Okay, we did a little polishing on that because it's so incredibly small. It's only designed to flow 235. We're flowing more than that. How is it possible? Well, we've already discussed that several times. It has to do with the airspeed is so high that it actually reduces the pressure at that point. So you're not pulling from 28 inches anymore. You're pulling from more than that. That's kind of how a super stock works. In fact, I mean, if you take a look, it's not super stock, but at 0.5 lift, 246, it's not really that far off from a super stock port. Take a look at some super stock numbers. And of course, this doesn't, super stock is designed, to run like much higher lifts. But if you're doing something that's only going to run a half-inch lift, this really isn't bad. I think this will more than enough take care of what we got to do with this Mission Impossible project. Take a look at our airspeeds on the roof. Damn nice. Look how close those are. All right, my short side radius is still a little fast. I think we're good with it. As long as it's quiet and it's not pulsing the manometer, I think we've got it. The exhaust, it's going to have pluses because you're moving more air. All right, the only spot that went down was the metal of that side. The exhaust is, I don't think anyone would complain about that exhaust port at this point. So I'm going to keep it about that ratio. I'm going to do very similar throat ratio stuff and push rod pinch on the quickie port, and we'll compare these two. And let me pause it and think if I need to tell you guys about anything else. All right, let me see if I can get a little extra light on that for you guys. Okay. That's just a worn-out cartridge roll going over it. Just taking my little bit of a burr finish. Somebody made a comment that the port's too small for a burr finish, and you know what? He actually has a very good point. I've had that problem on exhaust ports where you can't have a burr finish in certain places. The air speeds are too high, and it doesn't really help. So polish it out. Everything else looks pretty much the same. Our liquid flow looks about the same. And I think we're going to be done for today. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you putting up with me and checking out this project. I'm going to say, all right, if we put in a half-inch lift cam and it's making 246, how far down is that going to pull our flow with the 2-barrel and an iron intake? I was saying 160 before, so maybe it's 180 now. I'm guessing at numbers at this point. So if we can get 180 CFM through the tiny carb, the small intake, and these ports, I think we should be able to get done what we got to get done. And of course, with a 4-barrel, this will make some serious power with the right cam. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.